I think we are all victims of self-limiting beliefs. I'm not this, or I've never been good at this. And it takes a lot of energy to counteract those self-limiting beliefs, that inner talk. I try and tap into my inner champion more than my inner doubter. But it's hard in your day-to-day. And I guess that's why I've got a morning routine, so I can shut off the noise and actually tap into some of those good vibes.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Organization Business Podcast. I'm your host, Linh Podetti. My guest today is Kevin Porter, an EO Queensland member for over 7 years and co-founder of 2 companies, Greg's Office Furniture and Property Sorted. Prior to running these companies, Kevin exited a business he had managed for over a decade in the wholesale homewares industry. Today's episode, we discussed how Kevin was able to exit his company and found new opportunities to continue to pursue his love for business. We also discussed how Kevin transitioned from being a night owl to embracing a morning routine that has transformed his life. He shares how he found clarity and happiness in all areas of life thanks to his effective morning routine. Now, if you've always wanted to start waking up earlier, I hope this episode will inspire you to do so. Let's join me in welcoming Kevin. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the show. So great to see you here today.
Thank you for having me. Long-time listener. It's great to be on the show.
I'm glad you're listening to it. And I'm also glad that I got to see you in person at the GLC. And that's what I love about EO, right? We get to connect with people from all sorts of places, from, nationwide and also global. But today, I really want to dig deep into your life and your business story, because often you meet at an event, you don't get a chance to really talk deeply. So that's why I love doing a show like this, because we get to talk deeper. And you've got such an interesting story. Like, you've bought and sold, and, I wanted you to take us to the journey at the original business that you were able to sell. And then I know you're running a couple businesses now, but yeah, share with us.
Yeah. I've probably been at it for 20 odd years. And what I mean by that is I popped out of university not knowing what to do. You get a marketing degree, and what's next, right? So I had a decade in the travel industry, and the travel industry is all about fun, lots and lots of fun, but not a lot of money. And so ultimately, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I always wanted to be my own boss. I had market stalls when I was a kid, so I was always about selling and making a profit and looking at that P&L from a very young age. So, the latter 10 to 12 years was in business. So most of that time was in the homewares industry, believe it or not. And the gift and homewares industry, I had 6 stores in that time. But where I joined EO and where I really had my success was in the wholesale side. So I had a wholesale homewares business, and up until I exited a couple of years ago, that had 30 or 40 staff. I think we worked out, we had 3,000 stockists, and one crazy calculation was we had, one product of ours sold every 6 seconds around Australia, 7 days a week. So it was definitely a volume thing, and very grateful for that journey. And it was also the business where I learned scaling and teams and HR and people and strategy and all that jazz. So very great journey. Loved it. I had 5 years on the board of the gift and homewares industry, so I really enjoyed that time to give back a little bit too. And that sort of led me up to a couple of years ago where I did decide to exit. And believe it or not, I didn't really have a passion for the homewares industry. A cushion for me was just another cushion. That candle was just another candle. But what I did love, though, was the business side. And I joined EO probably halfway through that journey.
And so what companies are you running at the moment? What does it do?
Yeah, the 2 new ones. I'll probably go back a step and just, as soon as I exited, I knew that I wanted to keep my freedom. I knew I didn't want to be into the day-to-day again. So I'd bought my way out of freedom. What's the point in getting back into a business that relied on me, or I'm ultimately responsible? So I did set out on a path to keep my freedom, my time freedom, because financial freedom was set. I ticked that box, but the time freedom was the most important one, because as a natural entrepreneur, you see an opportunity and you want to go and chase it. And you have this thing, and you're like, oh, come on, we can do that. Oh my God, AI, let's do it. But I knew I wanted to be really vigilant with my freedom. So I found these 2 business opportunities, quite randomly, but the intent was there. The intent was to have a partner in each one, 50-50 partners, and they would be responsible for the day-to-day, but they had to be people that wanted to, it was their turn to be on the journey. It was their turn to hustle and grind. And I was very fortunate to find a couple of ex-staff members who fit that mold. And it's nice to be able to give back and go along the journey with them in these two respective businesses. But by the same token, I'm sitting up the top here, and I'm the visionary, and I can sprinkle the fairy dust on top, and I'm doing things like learning some more EOS rather than the scaling up stuff, just because I want to learn some new just businessy things. So that's probably where I'm at the moment. One's property management, and so service based, and one's it's used office furniture, which is product based. And it's really interesting to go, you guys out there that do service based industries, my hat's off to you, because for me, product-based industry is where it's at, where my past 10, 12 years have been. So I can do that with my eyes closed, but, I'm out there to learn new things at the same time. So,
okay. And so these two people that you found, you said they were your ex-staff member, but these businesses sound like they're completely different ones. So did they start this first? Like you used to know them as a staff, and then they got started with these businesses, and then they said, hey, I'm looking for a partner as well. Is that how you became partners?
I probably found the business first, and then knew that I had these types of people in my back pocket. They'd both gone on to different places. So, I always knew that they could be part of a new venture, and they not only deserve to, but I would love to see them thrive. And one thing led to another, and they're both in those positions. The good thing about buying these two smaller businesses were they already had momentum. So I didn't have to go through the first 3 years of pain. They could both come along and have a small wage to pay the bills, and just have that nice baseline and go, okay, you can hit the ground running. And it was nice to go into those cadences and rhythms from day one and hit the ground running.
I love that you're so smart about starting something new now. Like, I know how hard it is to start a business and you run it for years. And so you found something that's already established in a sense, rather than at the beginning age. And then you go and found people to run it so that you're not stuck in it again. That is secret to success the second time.
That's it.
Yeah.
And one of them actually, people have been talking in the last 10 years about the boomer generation moving forward, right? They're passing on that wealth, and there's going to be a lot of businesses, both good and bad, that are being handed down to the next generation. The next generation don't want these businesses, some of them anyway. And so they have always meant to come onto the market, and whether they come on post-COVID or not, the jury's out. But one of them, the office furniture one, was exactly that: retirement age, 70s, and right place, right time. So,
yeah, I really like this concept, because I noticed that there are a lot of people, or not a lot, but the people that I've come across who sold their business, they kind of go into more like a business advisor, and then maybe invest in something. But this is the first time I'm kind of hearing this approach where you're like finding a new idea, and then you're kind of like more practical, involved in it. But in a way, you're giving back your wisdom at the same time, but it's just a different model. So appreciate hearing that. Now, it sounded like you really care about freedom. So what was life like when you were running the business before? And then what made you decide, okay, I need to sell so that I could have even more freedom? And just want to understand a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's probably two things. The first thing was everything was always on my shoulders. So even though I might have been 3 days a week towards the end there, the inspiration, the overriding, direction of this ship always has to come from me, and that's fine. But there was always this some element of risks as well. So I wanted a bit of a sleep at night factor. What if a young forklift driver rolls the forklift and has a really bad accident? Things like that. As only one example, but things like that always weighed into my mind, and you can mitigate enough and have insurances in place. But for me, that 10-year journey was enough in that area, and I wanted to take some chips off the table. And I wouldn't be, I'd be lying if I didn't say that COVID was probably very friendly to the homewares industry. So in my 10 years, it was probably as good as it got. And I did take advantage of that too. But the second reason is I just wasn't ever passionate about homewares. It was so liberating at the end of the 10 years when I left to unsubscribe from newsletters and stop following fashionistas in homewares industry at the end of it. It was so liberating. I can go follow whatever I want to follow now.
Yeah. And so when you were running it, because you mentioned to me that you had kids, and then that's when you started to learn about a little bit morning routine. So I was just wondering, like, as an entrepreneur, were you like in the trenches all the time, grinding away? And apart from you not loving that business, etc., but were you working really hard and kind of didn't have that lifestyle from the business?
Probably for the first 5-6 years, yes. I think we all go through a bit of that in our first journey. But, you know, I can't complain. I had great people. I had great staff, great systems, and I can't complain at all. It was probably more some balance around having a young family as well. And that had its joys and challenges as well.
And so you had kids, and tell me what happened that you decided, you know what, I need to start to become more productive and learn about the morning routine. And I really want to hear how that's impacted your life.
Yeah, that's a good one. I suppose any change comes from a pain point, and my pain point was a growing business. Yep, I got that handled. I can handle goals and challenges and changes and HR and things like that. And even in my personal life, I can handle that. But my Achilles heel or my kryptonite was frying kids, for lack of a better word. We had one child and then twins came along. And for me, that was probably one area of my life I had to work a lot harder in. And when you've got crying babies and you've had a sleepless night, it was probably a bit challenging to go and then go, okay, I've got to go get to the business and I'm the leader and I've got to show my face and be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So that was challenging. And so to answer your question, I moved into a stage where, thank goodness for my forum, they guided me through a bit of this stuff, and I won't go into the pain point too much, but what it did drive me to do was make a change. And the morning routine was that for me. Previous to that, I'd be, getting swept away by the tide. So I would reach the office, I would find myself having a McMuffin meal for breakfast and going straight to the inbox and going to other people's needs and not my needs. So the morning routine for me, I got from a guy called Andy Fell. You can Google and watch some videos on that. And one of them is called the 4M morning routine. So quite simply, movement at the very start. So I love my 5:30 a.m. pump class. I'm there. And after that is the rest of the 3Ms. And I do it in a car with a piece of paper or an iPad. And it's mind clutter. So get everything onto a page, just like journaling. Takes a minute, really. Get everything out of your mind so that you can meditate. And it's just 10 minutes on the Calm app. So I learned something as well. And then into what I call the most important part, which is the Mozart time. And for me, that's time to have clarity. So some of the good stuff that I think about in that time includes, how was yesterday? What was the debrief? What worked? What didn't work? Or, hey, that project that we're working on, is it really that important? Like, why are we even doing it? Or, hey, you drove past that real estate sign and it's been up for a while and hasn't got a sold sticker. Maybe you should just call. And all of these little thoughts come out into the day's action list. And by prioritizing what really matters, I can then work through the day with those things that are most important, because, there's a bit of a gratitude piece there and one most important thing. So I always walk away from that. It's only half an hour of my morning. I always walk away from that going, what's that one big thing that I can go and get done today? What's the one big domino that will make all the others fall? Or lately I've been thinking, well, I don't have a domino. So what's the one big thing that'll have the greatest impact? Not just for me, but what about for other people? It'll have an impact on other people. So that's my morning routine in a nutshell.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, even though without the morning routine, you were able to grow a company of a sizable amount and staff and everything, but you were feeling overwhelmed, unfulfilled. But a morning routine, and of course, there's other factors in life, kids, and we all have kids and other personal things. But now you can still run a business and grow a business, but then your state of happiness is in a different level. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I think the clarity gives me clarity. I can actually sit there and go, why am I so busy this week? My goal is not to be busy and flat out. So I'll actively go, you know what? You've only got 2 things to do today. Take the rest of the day off and go and do this. I mean, one of the things I mentioned was I did have a co-working space, and I sort of sat there one day, what am I doing in a co-working space? I don't need to. I can go to the office there or that business there, or I could try and do a bit of work from home. But I ended up signing up for a wellness gym and actually work from there now. So I can, and it's locating myself there where I can hop in the spa and sauna and the cold plunge, or the, just be around things that I want to be around rather than sitting at a desk doing spreadsheets.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you probably heard about waking up earlier before, but why didn't you do it before? And why was it at this time that you're like, all right, that's it, I'm ready to make a change? What was the shift?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think as your EO journey moves forward, 7 years into it, 7 or 8 years into it for me, you learn these things along the way, and you can only do so much at a time. And I've never been a morning person, so I had to just grow into it a little bit, and I just had that pain point or that need to do it. So that's what drove me to do it, and I'm probably really grateful that my wife has allowed me to go off and do that. And subsequently, I'm a better dad as a result of it as well. I'm done by 2 or 3 o'clock. There's no more work that I should be doing, and it's a much better system for me personally.
So you mentioned you weren't a morning person. So were you more like a night person? Were you working till late at night, or what time were you sleeping? What was life like before? Before you.
I just thought everyone went to bed about 10-ish, watched a bit of Netflix, and then got up at 6 or 7, right? But for the past few years, it's 5 a.m. and it's dark, and out I go, and it took a bit of getting used to, but now it's just routine. So,
so is it just that you didn't think it was it wasn't abnormal to whatever you're doing is normal? You think everyone's doing it until you realize that, oh no, you can do life a different way if you want to change your life. Is that why you started to go, oh, okay, now I know that I can do it differently?
I think that's one of the reasons you join EO, right? You want to be around other people where it's okay to do, not okay to do this, but it's good for you to do things like this, or, the word meditation, or, counselors and psychologists, and all these things that in normal life you probably can't speak as freely or openly with your friends and family. So that's why we're here doing what we do, right?
Yeah. So were there other people in your forum or events that you watched that explained about the whole morning routine? Is that why you were like, okay, if they can do it, I will try it out? Or
it's probably a great point, because you have guest speakers pop in and out of your forum experience or retreats, and you take one gem or this gem, and I reckon Andy Fell, I probably saw him 3 times, and it wasn't until the second time that I resonated with the message to go, hey, maybe this is something I need now, and let's give it a try. And it happened to work. So Andy was someone you got to see in person, not just like a book he wrote or something.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So what advice would you give to someone? Because I know many people because I'm a morning person, and I actually wake up at 3 a.m. So it's a bit crazy for most people. And I'll hear the same thing. It's like, yeah, I really want to, but I'm a night person. I work better later. And, from someone who used to sleep a lot later, like, what would you be able to say to them to encourage them to try something like this?
I would say just give it a try and take some action. I think we are all victims of self-limiting beliefs. I'm not this, or I've never been good at this. And it takes a lot of energy to counteract those self-limiting beliefs, that inner talk. I try and tap into my inner champion more than my inner doubter. But it's hard in your day-to-day. And I guess that's why I've got a morning routine, so I can shut off the noise and actually tap into some of those good vibes. So it's like a flywheel. That morning routine allows me to tap into the good stuff, which turns into more good stuff. And in turn, I go back to the morning routine. Same with the forum experience or going to EO events. Oh, I don't know if I'm too keen on that event, but you know what? I'm just going to go. And you come away inspired, and then you go and do it again. So that's what I think.
I love it. So talk to me about EO. How did you hear about EO? And what's your journey been like?
Yeah, so 7 or 8 years. I joined when I went on, typical word of mouth referral. I did a business tour in the Philippines for outsourcing. I didn't outsource anything at the time, and obviously I'm a convert ever since. And it was through that word of mouth referral where, being on this business tour around entrepreneurs for a week, I just realized that, wow, there are better ways of doing business out there. But not only that, I wanted to be around other entrepreneurs. I want to share my challenges and stories, and also sharing the wins. Like, you can't share some of these wins with your friends and family. And so being part of EO, it's nice to be in a crowd that shares the same journey with you.
Yeah. And what's kept you here for 7 years? Often sometimes people join and then they get too busy. They can't attend events, or maybe they're not getting the most value because they're not participating on the board, which I'm enjoying a lot because I get to, learn a lot being on the board. But what was your journey that made you go, I like EO, I want to keep being here?
Yeah, I'm lucky to have a really good forum. So I find it like an apple a day, a forum a month. Even though I don't need that experience some months, other months I might do. And you walk away inspired and connected. So that's probably first and foremost. The second thing is obviously the events and the X factor. I think I joined EO when one of the values was cool, EO cool.
Oh, really?
And so for me, I'm like, I want to do some cool stuff in my life. I don't want to just do business. And I've definitely had some cool moments. So very, very grateful for that. But the cool moments still exist. So like you said, with GLC, fabulous to step out of this pond of Queensland and get into a bigger pond and meet other people and different perspectives. But not only that, there's an element of 8 years on, I've joined the board and now I'm learning new things again. So I'm very grateful I've got the freedom and time to join the board. One of the things, my role is the Accelerator Chair role. So it's nice to be able to be involved in a cohort of early entrepreneurs that are looking to hit that 1 mil mark and being able to guide them along the way.
Yeah, I just love that you're at that stage where it's all about giving back from what I'm hearing. So if you were to take yourself back when you were a leader in your early stage in business prior to exiting that first business, what were you like? And compared to now, like, how do you feel like you are as a person or as a leader now?
Oof. Older and wiser, definitely. I'm probably less naive and less gung-ho when it comes to business ideas. I'm probably a bit more calculated and hopefully a little bit more patient. Being able to see a little bit more into the future with confidence and not get carried away with the current. So that's probably one thing. It is nice to be in a position where even recently having other people come up to me and ask, hey, what would you do in this instance? Or, hey, have you ever been through this circumstance, whether it be business or personal? And it's nice to be able to go, hey, actually, I have been through that. And this is what I did. It was tough, but I got through it. And being able to say, look, this is just a moment in time. You'll get through it all.
So then this leads me to the last question. With everything that you're doing, you're helping others. What do you want these people to walk away with, or what's the impact you want to make on this world?
I probably have not set out to light the world on fire or change the world. I think it's just come about especially in the last few years with work, or especially exiting, like having the time and freedom now, what do I do? So a couple of things I've done in the last 2 years. I did the Bond University program through EO, the Forever Business program. So highly recommend if anyone out there is thinking about it. Even though I didn't want to create a legacy business, it was nice to be around other entrepreneurs, learn from Bond University and things like that. The other thing that we've got here in Queensland is called the Chapter Leadership Program. And that's been a cool journey for a year to groom some leadership skills, but also mature over a 12-month process. And the two guys that lead both of those programs are Carlo and Nick. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would know Carlo and Nick as well. So very grateful to people like that who step up to lead programs that ultimately empower you to help others. And so I'm starting to learn and grow more into this. And I think that has led to, inadvertently, I want the two businesses that I'm doing, that it doesn't affect me too much if they fail, but I want those people to succeed. It can make a big difference to those two people. Or subsequently, in the Accelerator program within EO, if I can make a mark and leave an impression or guide a program that's very strong, I could help early entrepreneurs grow and make a mark there. And that could have lasting impacts on them. And in turn, maybe those people will have, lasting impacts on other people. So I think that's what I'm discovering along the way. It's sort of become a duty at this stage to give back and do things for others. And
that's beautiful. I love hearing all that. And it got me curious, actually, because you're in that helping mode. Will you start more businesses and put more people in, or considering your freedom, kind of how important it is? Do you have a cap in how many more businesses you would come up with because you're such a visionary?
I'd never say never. Depends how many boomers retire in the next few years, right? No, look, I think all entrepreneurs are out there looking for opportunities. I would be hard pressed starting something new, and also a little bit wiser from the journey that I've been on to know what businesses I would get into and not get into. And I'd never say never. I'm always open. But for me, at the moment, I'm big on commercial property. So I'm a nerd when it comes to warehouses, industrial property, and that sort of thing. So that's my new baby for the past year.
Okay. It sounds so much fun. Well, I'm so excited for you. You're in a new chapter in life. I think a lot of people would love to be where you are, selling a business. You get that freedom to design the next chapter of your life. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with me. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on board. Cheers.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll also put all the description of your contact details and the websites, etc., in the description below. So thank you.
Thanks.